In Meridian Global's gleaming tower, Amara Thompson, a custodian, hides a secret: fluency in 7 languages. When her voice catches the CEO's ear, her rise sparks a thrilling, transformative upheaval. Welcome to Life Bond Tales. Subscribe for more heartwarming stories. In the heart of Seattle's tech district, where sleek glass towers pierce the morning mist, Meridian Global's headquarters thrummed with relentless ambition. Programmers hunched over laptops, their screens casting blue glows across open plan cubicles, while marketers argued over ad copy in glass-walled meeting rooms, and executives strode through with purposeful urgency, their voices sharp with talk of market shares and global outreach. Amid this frenetic dance of innovation, Amara Thompson moved like a quiet current, her burgundy custodial uniform rendering her nearly invisible. At 38, she was a single mother to her 20-year-old son, Jaden, her life a carefully balanced routine of night shifts, early mornings, and stolen moments of rest. Amara pushed her cleaning cart through the lobby, its wheels squeaking faintly on the polished concrete, her hands steady as she wiped down glass tables and emptied overflowing trash bins. To the employees rushing past, clutching coffee cups, and tapping at phones, she was part of the scenery, reliable, unremarkable, like the hum of the air conditioning. Her coiled hair, tucked neatly under a cap, framed a face etched with resilience, her dark eyes catching details others missed. A spilled latte, a forgotten badge, snippets of conversation in languages she knew but never spoke here. This rainy Monday in 2025, as drizzle streaked the floor-to-ceiling windows, Amara noticed a trio of international visitors struggling with the lobby's touchscreen directory. 2 men in tailored suits and a woman in a vibrant sari stood clustered, their voices a tangle of frustration, Japanese from one, Russian from another, Hindi from the third. They gestured at the screen, its interface glitching under their uncertain taps. Without a second thought, Amara leaned her mop against her cart and approached, her steps quiet but sure. In fluent Japanese, she greeted the first man, her tone warm yet precise, explaining how to select the correct floor for his meeting. His face softened, relief replacing confusion as he nodded gratefully. Turning to the second man, she switched to Russian, her words crisp as she guided him to the elevators with clear directions. Then, in Hindi, she reassured the woman, her voice carrying the lilt of familiarity, pointing out the visitor check-in with a gentle smile. The exchange was effortless, her languages flowing like water, each syllable a bridge across cultures. The visitors thanked her, their gratitude palpable, and Amara returned to her cart, unaware of the figure pausing mid-stride across the lobby. Nathan Carter, Meridian's CEO, stood frozen, his briefcase heavy in his hand, his usual morning rush halted by the sound of Amara's voice. At 45, with salt and pepper hair and a reputation for steering Meridian from a scrappy startup to a tech powerhouse, Nathan was no stranger to talent. He'd hired coders from MIT, strategists from Singapore, translators with glossy credentials. Yet here, in his own lobby, was a woman in a faded uniform, speaking 3 languages with a fluency that rivaled any professional he'd met. Her voice, confident, unassuming, cut through the morning buzz, stopping him cold. He squinted at her name tag, barely visible under the lobby's harsh LED lights. Amara T. Nathan had seen her before, a fleeting presence during late-night strategy sessions, her cart gliding silently through the halls. He'd never spoken to her, never thought to, and the realization stung. Stepping closer, he watched her finish with the visitors, her posture calm, no trace of self-importance. The Japanese man bowed slightly. The Russian clapped her shoulder, and the woman in the sari smiled broadly before they headed to the elevators. Amara resumed wiping a smudged glass panel, oblivious to Nathan's gaze. His mind churned. Meridian was pushing hard into global markets, Asia, Eastern Europe, South Asia, yet their translation software often faltered, and cultural missteps had cost them deals. This woman, mopping floors, had just solved a problem his team would have fumbled, and she'd done it before 8 a.m. A flicker of guilt mixed with curiosity tightened his chest. He'd built a company on spotting potential, yet he'd walked past Amara for years. Clearing his throat, he approached, his polished shoes clicking on the floor. "Excuse me," he said, his voice softer than the boardroom bark he was known for. Amara turned, her expression composed but guarded, used to fading into the background. "Yes, sir?" she said, her tone polite, her eyes meeting his with a quiet strength. Nathan offered a faint smile, trying to bridge the gap between CEO and custodian. "That was Japanese, wasn't it? And Russian? Hindi, too?" Amara nodded, her cap shifting slightly. "Yes, sir. I speak a few others as well." Her words were matter-of-fact, no hint of boast, just a simple truth that hit Nathan, like a revelation. She listed them: Japanese, Russian, Hindi, Korean, Italian, Yoruba, Greek. 7 languages, all self-taught through borrowed books, late-night radio, and online forums. She'd learned them, not for a career, but for connection, for helping neighbors navigate immigration forms or hospital visits in her Tacoma community. Nathan's eyebrows lifted, his mind racing to catch up. He glanced at his watch, then back at her, the weight of the moment settling in. "Amara, do you have a moment to talk?" he asked, gesturing toward the elevators. Her brow flickered. With surprise, nobody here used her name, let alone the CEO. She hesitated, then set her mop aside, nodding. "Yes, sir." As they walked to the elevators, the lobby's noise faded, and Amara's pulse quickened. 12 years at Meridian, cleaning the same floors, hearing the same hurried footsteps, and now this. Someone had noticed her, not the uniform, not the cart, but her. The elevator doors closed, and as it climbed, she felt the air shift, heavy, with possibility. Her heart caught between hope and the fear of what this moment might mean. Amara Thompson stood in the elevator beside Nathan Carter, her custodial uniform a stark contrast to his tailored suit, as they ascended to Meridian Global's 22nd floor executive suite. The hum of the lift felt louder in the silence, her hands clasped to steady a mix of nerves and curiosity. Nathan's invitation to talk had caught her off guard. Years of cleaning after hours had taught her to expect nothing beyond a nod, if that. The doors opened to a hallway scented with citrus and polished wood, a world of wealth and power that felt as foreign as another language. Nathan's office was expansive, its floor-to-ceiling windows framing Seattle's rain-soaked skyline, a large desk anchoring the space with a photo of his teenage son and a stack of industry awards. He gestured to a leather chair, and Amara sat, her posture straight but cautious, her eyes scanning the room, not in awe, but with the quiet observance of someone used to reading spaces for clues. Nathan leaned forward, his usual CEO sharpness softened by genuine interest. "Those languages," he began, "Japanese, Russian, Hindi, how did you learn them?" Amara hesitated, her voice low but steady as she explained. Born in Tacoma, to a bus driver father and a seamstress mother, she grew up in a home where books were scarce, but curiosity was abundant. A partial scholarship to college had fueled her love for linguistics, but her mother's cancer diagnosis at 19 forced her to leave school. Her father's heart attack followed soon after, leaving her to navigate grief and bills alone. Pregnant with Jaden, abandoned by her partner, she took whatever work fit. Warehouses, fast food, then Meridian's night shift, its hours letting her be there for her son's school pickups. Languages became her refuge, learned through library loans, online forums, and late-night radio in 7 tongues: Japanese, Russian, Hindi, Korean, Italian, Yoruba, Greek. She practiced by helping neighbors, translating eviction notices, explaining medical forms, finding purpose in connection. Nathan listened, his face still but his eyes betraying a flicker of recognition. He'd clawed his way up from a mechanic's son in rural Oregon, dismissed as underqualified until a mentor saw his drive. Amara's story hit close, her resilience, a mirror to his own, but her quiet brilliance, honed without applause, stirred a deeper respect. "Why not pursue translation professionally?" he asked. Amara's lips curved faintly. "Rent doesn't wait for ambition, Mr. Carter, and nobody hires a janitor for her vocabulary." Her words, plain and unadorned, carried a weight that made Nathan pause. He saw Meridian's failure, not just his own, in letting such talent. Mop floors for 12 years. A pang of guilt tightened his jaw, not for pity but for the waste of potential in a company he'd built to chase innovation. Shifting gears, he proposed a test. An urgent client call with a Tokyo firm, their translator out sick. "Can you handle it?" he asked. Amara's eyes widened. Corporate calls were uncharted territory, but her nod was firm, her confidence, rooted in years of bridging gaps for strangers. Hours later, in a conference room lined with screens, she joined the call, her Japanese precise as she clarified technical specs and cultural nuances, turning a stalled negotiation into a handshake. Agreement. The client, a stern executive, praised her fluency, asking if she'd handle future talks. Nathan, observing from the sidelines, saw more than skill. He saw a presence that commanded trust without demanding attention. Back in his office, he scribbled notes, an idea forming. A role for Amara, not just as a translator, but as a bridge for Meridian's global ambitions. "You're wasted downstairs," he said, half to himself. Amara tilted her head, cautious. "What are you saying, sir?" He met her gaze. "I'm saying we need you. Your mind, your voice, where it matters." The words felt like a door, cracking open, but Amara's chest tightened. She'd spent years invisible, her brilliance a private flame. Could she step into this light without losing herself? Nathan sensed her hesitation. "It's a lot," he admitted. "But you've already shown what you can do." As she left, the elevator descending to the service level, Amara's mind churned. She thought of Jaden, now in college, his belief in her a steady anchor. She thought of her parents, who'd worked themselves to the bone for her to dream. The office's polish faded as she returned to her cart, the familiar scent of bleach grounding her. Nathan stayed late, his notes sprawling across his desk. A new position, global communications specialist, tailored to Amara's gifts. He saw her, not just as an asset, but as a challenge to Meridian's blind spots, a chance to redefine who belonged in its rooms. Amara, back on the lobby floor, wiped down a glass panel, her reflection faint but sharp. For the first time, she wondered if her languages, her lifeline through years of struggle, could be more than a secret. The weight of Nathan's words lingered, a spark of possibility she wasn't sure she trusted. As she clocked out, the rain outside had stopped, the city's lights glinting like a promise she might finally claim. Amara Thompson stepped into her new office on Meridian Global's 12th floor, a modest space with a desk, a drooping ficus, and a computer screen that glowed like an unfamiliar challenge. The title of Global Communications Specialist, bestowed by Nathan Carter, came with a keycard, a clothing stipend, and a weight of expectation that settled heavily on her shoulders. Her navy blazer, bought with the stipend, felt stiff compared to the custodial uniform she'd folded into her desk drawer, a quiet reminder of the years she'd been invisible. The company announcement about her role sparked a current of murmurs. Through Meridian's halls, some curious, others cutting. In the break room, analysts whispered over coffee. "From mopping to meetings, that's a stretch." Laura Bennett, a senior director with a polished resume and a master's in global strategy, led the charge, her clipped tone in a team meeting questioning Amara's lack of formal qualifications for such a pivotal role. Amara absorbed the skepticism, her face composed, but the words stung like a familiar ache. She'd spent her life proving herself to those who saw only her uniform. Jaden's text that morning, "Show them, Mom," fueled her resolve, but doubt crept in. Could she navigate this corporate maze without losing the ground she'd fought for? She dove into her first task, a tangled contract with a Mumbai supplier, her Hindi catching errors in pricing terms that had slipped past the previous translator, saving Meridian a hefty sum. The project lead sent a curt but grateful email, a small win that steadied her. Yet Laura's scrutiny followed like a shadow, her emails to the team hinting at process concerns about Amara's unorthodox hire. The real test came with a video call involving Italian and Nigerian clients, where cultural missteps had derailed a software deal. Amara's Italian flowed warmly, easing the Milan team's concerns about timelines, while her Yoruba proverb about patience drew a chuckle from the Lagos executive, sealing a tentative agreement. The room's atmosphere shifted, colleagues' eyes widening at her ease, but Laura's tight-lipped stare from the corner spoke louder than applause. Amara found an ally in Priya, a timid intern who hid her Hindi accent until Amara coached her. For a presentation, sharing how she'd learned to own her voice despite years of being overlooked, Priya's confident delivery earned nods from the team, and Amara felt a flicker of pride, as if mentoring her was a way to rewrite her own past. At home, Jaden sensed her strain over dinner, asking if the new role was worth the fight. "It's not just for me," Amara said, her voice soft but firm. "It's for you, for Priya, for anyone who's been told they don't belong." The corporate world demanded new skills, navigating CRMs, drafting reports, mastering jargon she'd never needed. But Amara tackled them with the same tenacity that taught her 7 languages. Colleagues began to polarize. Priya and a few others saw her as a beacon, while Laura's allies, like a pair of logistics managers, grumbled about her skipping the ladder in Slack channels. Amara overheard a cafeteria jab. "I've got an MBA and she's got what, a mop?" But she channeled the hurt into her work, translating emails with precision and advising on cultural etiquette for a Korean pitch. Nathan checked in, his eyes warm with encouragement. "You're shaking things up," he said. "That's good, but it won't be easy." He hinted at brewing resistance from senior leadership, urged on by Laura's quiet campaign to frame Amara's promotion as a risky move. Amara suggested a bold step. Let her lead a critical presentation for a Russian tech firm, a deal Meridian had fumbled for months due to miscommunications. Nathan agreed, seeing it as a chance to cement her value. Amara prepared late into the night, studying the firm's history and practicing her Russian, her old custodial grit fueling her focus. The presentation loomed like a proving ground, not just for her, but for every overlooked worker she now represented. As she reviewed her notes, a memory surfaced, her mother sewing late into the night, telling her, "You're more than what they see." Amara's office, still alien with its clean lines and humming computer, felt less like a cage and more like a stage. She glanced at her folded uniform, its burgundy fabric a testament to her endurance. The Russian pitch would test her in ways cleaning never had, but she was ready. Her languages, her mind, her heart all sharpened for the moment. Laura's allies watched closely, waiting for a misstep, but Amara's resolve deepened. She wasn't just fighting for a title. She was carving out space for those who'd been dismissed, her every move a defiance of the assumptions that had kept her invisible for so long. Amara Thompson's influence at Meridian Global began to weave into the company's fabric, her linguistic finesse and cultural insight transforming how teams approached global deals. Her ability to disarm a Nigerian client with a Yoruba proverb or clarify an Italian contract's fine print earned her quiet respect from junior staff and international partners alike. During a high-stakes call with a Seoul-based supplier, Amara's Korean fluency untangled a pricing dispute, her calm explanation of local business customs turning a near-lost deal into a signed contract. Priya, the intern Amara mentored, blossomed under her guidance, delivering a Hindi language pitch with newfound confidence, her success a mirror to Amara's own journey. Yet the undercurrent of resistance grew sharper, led by Laura Bennett, whose pointed memos to leadership questioned Amara's unconventional methods, framing them as a liability. Amara felt the weight of those doubts, but pressed forward, her office a sanctuary where she reviewed contracts and coached others, her old custodial uniform still tucked in her drawer as a grounding touchstone. One crisp morning, Nathan Carter unveiled a bold gesture. The main conference room, a hub for training and deal-making, was renamed the Thompson Hub in her honor. The steel plaque outside caught Amara off guard, her breath catching at the sight of her name etched in permanence. Reactions split the company. Priya and younger staff grinned with pride, while others, like 2 analysts overheard in the elevator, scoffed at preferential treatment. The honor amplified Amara's visibility, making her feel both empowered and exposed, a target for those who saw her rise as a disruption. Over coffee in the break room, Nathan opened up, his voice low with candor. "I was overlooked too," he said, recounting his early days as a mechanic's son dismissed by corporate gatekeepers. "You're not just changing deals, Amara. You're changing how we see talent." His words steadied her, but they also underscored the stakes. Her success was a test for Meridian's values. Amara began advising junior staff beyond Priya, like Carlos, a maintenance worker, who spoke fluent Spanish but feared judgment. She coached him through a client email, his grateful nod echoing her own quiet victories. Her office became a haven for those who felt sidelined, a place where a receptionist could admit dreams of learning Mandarin or an IT tech could share her Arabic fluency. Amara's guidance wasn't just technical, it was a lifeline showing them their voices mattered. But Laura's resistance intensified, her allies whispering in hallways about standards slipping and Amara's lack of a degree. At a team lunch Amara skipped, Laura's voice carried, "She's good with words, but this isn't a language school, it's a business." The comment, relayed by Priya, stung like a slap, but Amara channeled it into her work, polishing translations and refining cultural briefs for a Dubai pitch. Word spread that Laura had escalated her concerns to the board, framing Amara's promotion as a risky experiment. Nathan, sensing the brewing storm, met Amara in her office. "You're making waves," he said, his eyes warm but serious. "That's good, but Laura's pushing for a review of your role." Amara's stomach tightened, but she saw an opportunity. "Let me take the lead on the Russian pitch next week," she said, referencing a stalled deal with a Moscow tech firm. "If I can land it, they'll see what I'm worth." Nathan nodded, impressed by her boldness. Amara threw herself into preparation, studying the firm's history and practicing her Russian late into the night, her desk littered with notes and energy drink cans. The pitch was a triumph. Her fluency and cultural insight secured a verbal commitment, the client calling her a rare asset. Back at Meridian, a handwritten note appeared on her desk. "You're showing us what's possible." Unsigned, it felt like a whisper from the company's heart, a counterpoint to Laura's campaign. The Thompson Hub became a symbol of change, buzzing with trainees who saw Amara as proof that potential could rise from any corner. Yet the board's looming review cast a shadow, Laura's influence stirring doubts among senior leaders. Amara confided in Jaden over a late call, her voice soft with worry. "I'm scared I'll let you down," she admitted. Jaden's reply was fierce. "You're not letting anyone down. You're lifting us up." His words anchored her, but as she walked through the Thompson Hub, watching a new hire practice Korean phrases, Amara felt the weight of her fight. She wasn't just proving herself, she was proving that talent like hers, forged in struggle, not boardrooms, belonged. Laura's push for a board review loomed like a storm cloud, threatening to undo everything. Amara stood at her office window, Seattle's skyline glittering below, her reflection a blend of the woman who'd mopped floors and the one now reshaping a company. She touched the folded uniform in her drawer, its fabric a reminder of her roots, and steeled herself for the battle ahead. Amara Thompson stood outside the 17th floor conference room, her navy blazer pressed, but her heart racing as she faced a summons from Margaret Voss, a board member whose sharp gaze and sharper reputation preceded her. The call to meet, prompted by Laura Bennett's persistent lobbying, felt like a crucible, testing Amara's place at Meridian Global. Inside, Margaret sat at a sleek table, her silver hair pinned tightly, a folder of papers before her like a verdict waiting to be read. "Take a seat," she said, her voice cool and clipped. Amara sat, her hands steady in her lap, though her pulse thrummed with the weight of scrutiny. Margaret wasted no time. No degree, no corporate training, no management experience. "Explain why you're handling global affairs." Amara met her eyes, her voice calm but unyielding. She detailed her impact, resolving a Mumbai contract's errors with her Hindi fluency, securing a sole deal through cultural finesse in Korean, and landing a Russian pitch with a Moscow firm, her fluency turning mistrust into a handshake. "I don't have a diploma," she said, "but I've cut costs, closed deals, and built trust where software failed." Nathan Carter, seated to the side, bolstered her case with data. Client satisfaction up 18% since Amara's promotion. International contracts finalized 30% faster, translation errors down significantly. Margaret's expression remained stone, her pen tapping rhythmically. "Results are noted," she said, "but you lack the pedigree we expect. You're an anomaly, Ms. Thompson, and anomalies are risks." Amara leaned forward slightly. My whole life's been a risk. I've delivered every day I've been here, cleaning floors or closing deals. Judge me by what I do, not what I didn't study. The room stilled, Margaret's pen pausing, her eyes flickering with something like surprise. Nathan suppressed a smile, his prepared charts reinforcing Amara's contributions. Margaret closed her folder, her tone softening just a fraction. You're a gamble, but we'll keep you, for now. Don't stop proving yourself. The meeting ended, and Amara's legs felt unsteady as she left, the adrenaline draining away. In her office, she sank into her chair, the weight of the encounter heavy. She called Jaden, her voice catching as she shared her fear of failing under such pressure. "So you're not failing, Mum," he said fiercely. "You're showing the world what's possible." His words were a lifeline, pulling her back from doubt. Later, a note slipped under her door read, "You held your ground. We see you." Unsigned, it felt like a pulse of support from Meridian's quieter corners. The next morning, Amara led a strategy session with the Italian team, her fluency smoothing a tense discussion on software licensing, her suggestions adopted without debate. Priya, now a confident presence, assisted with Hindi translations, her growth a testament to Amara's mentorship. Amara's office became a magnet for others. Carlos, now leading Spanish client calls, stopped by to thank her. A receptionist. May shared her dream of studying Japanese, inspired by Amara's example. Amara listened, offered guidance, and saw her own journey reflected in their hunger to be recognized. But Laura's influence lingered, her allies amplifying a minor error in a German email, a formatting glitch Amara quickly fixed, as proof of her inexperience. The whispers reached her through Priya, stinging but not surprising. Amara stayed late, triple-checking every document, her custodial discipline driving her precision. Nathan visited, sensing her strain. "You're not just fighting for you," he said, leaning against her doorframe. "You're rewriting what this company values." Amara nodded, her eyes on the anonymous note, its words a quiet fuel. She began advising more staff, from interns to support workers, helping them navigate presentations or client calls, her office a space where ambition wasn't bound by titles. A facilities worker, Jamal, confided he spoke fluent Arabic but feared judgment. Amara coached him through a Dubai email, his success mirroring hers. The board's approval, though grudging, gave her breathing room, but Laura's allies kept up their quiet campaign, eyeing her every move. Amara countered with action, leading a call with a Nigerian partner, her Yoruba easing a cultural misunderstanding that had stalled negotiations. Her calm competence silenced doubters in the room, but she knew the fight wasn't over. At home, Jaden noticed her exhaustion, asking if she regretted the leap. "No," she said, her voice firm. "This is bigger than me." She thought of her parents, their sacrifices, and the night she'd studied languages by lamplight to feel alive. Now she was sparking that fire in others. A second note appeared on her desk days later. "You're our proof it's possible." It joined the first in her drawer, next to her old uniform, a growing collection of quiet victories. Amara's presence was shifting Meridian's culture. Interns spoke bolder, support staff shared ideas, and even skeptical managers began consulting her on global strategies. As she prepared for a Moroccan client meeting, her Arabic ready to bridge another gap, she felt the stakes rising. She wasn't just proving her worth, she was proving that talent like hers, forged in struggle, not seminar rooms, could reshape a company. Standing at her office window, Seattle's lights shimmering below, Amara traced the edge of her desk, where her uniform lay folded. The board's warning echoed, but so did Jaden's voice, the notes and the faces of those she'd lifted. She was no longer invisible, and that was both her burden and her strength. Amara Thompson's office, once a stark symbol of her leap from custodian to global communications specialist, now thrummed with purpose as she launched the Hidden Voices program at Meridian Global. The initiative, her brainchild, aimed to unearth talent in overlooked roles, custodians, receptionists, IT staff, offering language training and leadership mentoring to those long ignored. Amara poured her heart into it, designing workshops that drew on her self-taught mastery of 7 languages, guiding participants like Carlos, who now confidently led Spanish client calls, and Priya, whose bold Hindi presentations turned heads in boardrooms. The program's early traction was undeniable, with enrollment tripling in a month, its success a testament to Amara's vision of a company where potential wasn't tied to a resume. At a global tech summit in San Francisco, Amara took the stage, her nerves steadying as she faced a packed auditorium. "Talent doesn't need a title," she said, her voice resonant. "It's in the people you walk past every day. Stop and listen." The crowd rose in applause, her speech shared across industry forums, sparking calls for Meridian to deepen its diversity efforts. Back in Seattle, the Thompson Hub buzzed with trainees, their energy a living tribute to Amara's impact. She visited her old Tacoma neighborhood, standing outside the weathered house where she'd cared for her dying parents, her custodial badge now framed beside her business cards at home, a quiet monument to her journey. Jaden surprised her with a visit, his hug fierce as he said, "You're not just my mom, you're changing the game." His pride dissolved her lingering fears, anchoring her in the truth of her influence. At Meridian, Amara's work reshaped dynamics. Her Arabic fluency resolved a Dubai contract snag, earning a rare nod from a skeptical manager, and even Laura Bennett's resistance softened after Amara's Moroccan client call bridged a months-long impasse. Nathan Carter joined her in the Thompson Hub one afternoon, watching trainees practice Japanese phrases. "You've rewritten this place," he said, his voice thick with respect. Amara smiled, her eyes on a young IT tech mastering Korean. They just needed a chance to be heard. The program's success prompted a company-wide policy shift, prioritizing internal talent development with Amara as its architect. A facilities worker, Aisha, approached her, shyly admitting she spoke fluent Somali but never thought it mattered. Amara coached her through a client email, and Aisha's beaming success echoed Amara's own rise. Margaret Voss, the once doubtful board member, sent a terse email. "Your program's results speak for themselves." Amara framed it beside her badge, a quiet tally of her victories. At home, she and Jaden shared a rare movie night, their laughter over popcorn feeling like a gift after years of missed moments. Meridian's annual gala brought a new milestone. Amara received an innovation award, her name met with a standing ovation as she stepped forward in a simple beige blazer. In her speech, she spoke of her parents' sacrifices and Jaden's unwavering belief, her voice steady but warm. "This isn't my win alone," she said. "It's for everyone who's been unseen." A young custodian approached her after, eyes bright. "My sister speaks 4 languages," he said. "I'm telling her about you." Amara touched his arm. "Tell her to keep speaking, someone's listening." The gala's glow lingered as she left, Seattle's rain washing over her like a cleansing tide. Amara's legacy stretched beyond contracts or workshops. It was in the courage she ignited. Priya now mentored new interns, Carlos pitched ideas to leadership, and Aisha joined Hidden Voices, her Somali fluency a new asset. Meridian's culture shifted. Support staff spoke up in meetings, and executives sought Amara's input on global strategies. The board, once wary, endorsed her program's expansion, with Nathan championing its budget. One evening, Amara found another note on her desk. "You showed me I'm enough." Unsigned, it joined the others in her drawer beside her old uniform, a testament to the lives she'd touched. She led a workshop the next day, watching a shy receptionist practice Mandarin, her voice growing bolder with each word. Amara's own journey, years of late-night study, of carrying her parents' dreams and Jaden's future, felt woven into these moments. At a company-wide meeting, Nathan announced Hidden Voices as a cornerstone of Meridian's future, crediting Amara's vision. She stood quietly, her heart full, as colleagues clapped, some who'd once doubted her now nodding in respect. Walking through the Thompson Hub, she saw a new hire, Jamal, practicing Arabic, his confidence a spark she'd lit. Amara paused at her office window, Seattle's skyline glittering below, its lights a map of her resilience. She'd brought her whole self to Meridian, Her languages, her grit, her heart, not bending to fit its mold, but expanding it. The fight hadn't been easy, but it had carved a path for others. As she touched the framed badge, her mother's, words echoed, "You're more than they see." Amara was no longer just a custodian or a specialist. She was a force proving that brilliance could rise from any corner if only someone dared to look.